Yes, it's a beautiful Monday morning right here on Mainland 98.3 FM. And the Morning Express continues with trends in the papers. That is our paper review show where we look through the major trending stories on the front pages of our papers this morning. We have the Punch, the Guardian, and Vanguard newspaper, of course, in no particular order. And to give analysis to these stories, to, put some insights or context to most of these stories, we have Sahid Fuhad, who will join via the phone line to give his analysis. My name still remains Omobola Sandra, and we'll be doing this up until about 8:30. We'll take a short commercial break by 8:30, and by 8:40 we're back. And that's for Milan Focus. And that's the part where you get to be the analyst. You get to share your own thoughts and your own contribution as regards the focal points of the major trending stories from the papers. Time check right now is 7:44 a.m. and today is the 16th of December 2024. And it is beginning to look a lot like Christmas. By next week, it is Christmas week, and it's just going to be amazing. Everywhere, it is actually beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Everywhere you go, you see the decorations, you see, and I just love the resilience of Nigerians, despite what everyone is going through. How everyone is trying to manage what's in their pockets. They still try to find a way to make it fun. They still try to find a way to, not get lost, in the financial crisis or in the economic crisis that a lot of people are going through at this time now. And this is just a special one to parents out there. Well, okay. All right. Okay. So this is just a special one to parents out there, and that is, if Christmas clothes is not working, it really doesn't have to. You can actually just recycle some old outfits that you haven't worn in a year or in years. You can just do something and just get creative, really, at the end of the day, because that's the most important aspect. Put a smile on their face. It could just be the little things. Okay, so let's not overstretch ourselves in trying to keep up with certain Christmas traditions, quote and unquote. No, oh no, this is how we do it by Lashishe, and let's not say because of this, we are not going to do it that way. And it's going to be an amazing run as long as you just stay positive and stay focused on your goals. All right, so it's a beautiful morning right here on Milan 98.3 FM. And as I mentioned earlier, it is trends in the papers. But before then, a lot of stories, major stories trended from over the weekend. We don't have so much time to look through them all. But of course, it's quite a lot that went down from over the weekend. But the major one, of course, which I think everybody just needs to take a chill pill, and that's as regards Miss Kemi, whatever her thoughts are about Nigeria. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but I think maybe we need to take a chill pill. But then, let's just relax. Really, let's just relax. And that's all I have to say as regards that one. All right. But before we move on to, other stories that we have this morning, I think it's also important I just bring this out. Thankfully, Fuhad Sahid is a real estate expert, so he should be able to give some insight into this. But before I, barrage him with that, good morning, Fuhad. How are you doing?
Morning, Sandra. I'm good. How are you doing?
Well, I am well. I've been better, but thank God. Okay, so well, let me just get into this particular report that went around yesterday. Federal government directing houses and landowners in Lagos to pay ground rent. And the question about what exactly is ground rent. I own the land, so what ground rent am I paying again, to the government? It's just like a lot of people have been trying to question the land use charge and all of that. So maybe just a quick insight into that before we get into the stories for the day.
Well, Sandra, it's still a bit confusing, really, because a lot of questions have been raised about this called ground. Because again, in the used to have tenement rates and all charges on property. One charge law was made, I think, in 2000. That was fashion.
Okay.
It was said that, look, Yes.
May I please reconnect? I can barely hear you. The line is breaking up. The quality of the call is really poor. So I would please indulge me. Let's reconnect. Okay. Thank you very much. I can barely hear, so we don't have a back and forth, and not waste time. There's a lot for us to look through this morning. Okay, don't forget we are live on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. So you can also follow the program on both platforms. Mainland 98.3 FM. That's the handle to look out for on both Facebook and YouTube. And you can also drop comments in the live chat section, even as the show progresses. All right, even before we get to Milan Focus, yes, you can. Okay, just on the side. Hello, good. Yes, Fuad.
Yeah, good morning, Sandra.
Okay,
I can hear you now.
Oh, yes, it's better. Thank you. So you were saying ground rent.
So what I'm saying is that, look, it's still a bit confusing because the expectation is that the land use charge is supposed to have consolidated all, levies and taxes on properties in Lagos. From tenement rate to every other rate, is consolidated into the land use charge. So this new thing about ground rent is causing a lot of questions in the minds of Lagosians, especially property owners, where this is coming from. Like another new kind of taxes, about another revenue drive from Lagos State government. Who is to pay this, the property owner or the tenant? So a lot of questions really on this particular one. And that's again what we've been saying as to, this multiplicity of taxes and levies and payments. It's choking, Sandra, whether anybody likes it or not. So the question is, do we still have the land use charge? That's supposed to be a consolidation of all property charges and levies. Now we have the ground rent. So how does that fit into the land use charge that was supposed to be some form of, putting together of all property charges and levies? So it's still a question that, we still have to ask ourselves as Lagosians.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I thought we were going to get some sort of clarity on that, but apparently there's still a lot of haze as regards, what exactly ground rent is. A lot of landowners are like, what is going on here? But then, aside from that, I trust we all also have been following the Rita Lori, situation as regards Abuja, Abuja property and whatnot, as regards documentation. And I think it's something that, a lot of real estate experts have been saying. Do your due diligence as regards, your paperwork. I think that's very important. Don't you think, Fuad? Paperwork as in real estate.
Well, do your due diligence, but it's really very unfortunate the way Mr. Mᴏᴜᴜ and his people are handling this Abuja land matter.
Okay.
Basically, the accusation is that, look, what Minister Mᴏᴜᴜ is doing is just land grabbing. Basically, because if you revoke or you take over people's property, and then it is being said allegedly that you're already allocating it to new owners, and these new owners are your friends and associates, political friends and associates. Of course, it's going to raise dust as to the original intention of you taking over these properties in the first place. Sandra, in Lagos here, for example, and also in other parts of the country, and even Abuja, there are tendencies that people encroach on government land. And when we say encroach on government land now, from the Land Use from the Land Use Act of 1978, practically all land belongs to government. And what it means is that, look, the only one that the communities are allowed to sell are the ones that are excised to them. You understand what I'm saying? Now, for those that are still in the custody of government, we have two types. There's a committed and uncommitted. Committed is that, look, it has been committed for a particular project, whether airports, anything for overriding public interest. You understand what I'm saying, Sandra? So if you encroach on properties like that or lands like that without the requisite title, it's always extremely difficult for you to get any form of regularization. You understand? Because it's committed. There's a purpose for it. And so if your title is revoked or your land is revoked or taken over, it is supposed to be used for that particular purpose. If you understand what I'm saying. But there are land that the government is still holding on to, Sandra, that has not been committed to any project. Nothing has been earmarked on those lands. Look, if you buy those kind of properties, so that governance is giving some form of human face, such property owners are allowed to regularize their title. You are supposed to pay some, penalties, and of course, it gives you the opportunity to now get proper title, proper documents on that property. A lot of this land that Wike is going into demolishing people's property. The question is that, look, were this land a mark for particular project? Or the fact is just that people bought them without proper documentation? Why not give them the opportunity, Sandra, to get those documents? Why not give them the opportunity to regularize? In fact, some of the property owners said that, look, they were already on the verge of regularizing their title on those properties before the minister came and said, no, he was going to demolish. And while the demolition was going on, the revocation notices were being handed out to them. They discovered that these properties were already being allocated to his friends and political associates, allegedly. So, it's just really very unfortunate that, and the minister himself said that, look, if he allocates the land to his friends, so what? People should go to hell. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
So I listened to the Rita Lori, Madam Rita Lori. I think she's 83 years.
Yeah.
And she's saying that, look at her age, she will not go about kneeling down to beg any minister over a property she acquired years ago.
Or calling the president to beg on her behalf.
I don't know about begging, but I think she can test what our laws is on this particular issue. She can always approach the court. Nobody will tell anybody to go prostrate or beg the president because a minister is just out there going after everybody and anybody that he's not happy with. I think they can always approach the courts, to get some injunction, at least to stay execution on whatever the minister wants to do on those properties. The law is there to protect Nigeria, so I think they should explore those opportunities.
I think the National Assembly has already gotten into the matter as regards,
You might not listen to them. I'm not sure that minister will listen to them. I doubt.
The National Assembly?
Yes, now. Which assembly?
Wow.
Have you even seen the way the assembly is addressing the matter? It's even clear that the assembly is afraid of the minister. They are not so straightforward. They are not so clear as to their position on the matter.
Oh, well,
Sandra.
Thank you very much, Zaid Fuad. We have so many other stories that we need to look through this morning. But, I mean, that's actually, I must confess, that actually sounds scary. If, we have a situation where, even the National Assembly...
The senator representing Abuja, the minister is not able to even sit down with her to talk.
To have a conversation.
He doesn't even see the woman as anything.
All right.
Is that the assembly that the minister respects?
Well, time check right now is 7:55 a.m. and you're on to trends in the papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. So, the major headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper: Council Autonomy, Algon, NULGE, kick as governors get 2 trillion naira local government allocations. And we have riders here that says local government bodies worried over uncertainty in Supreme Court verdict's implementation date. And that's on page 2. So, FAC has disbursed a total of 2.08 trillion naira in allocations to local government between July and December, according to findings. However, despite the July 2024 Supreme Court ruling that granted financial autonomy to the 774 local government areas in the country, findings have shown that the allocations were still being paid to state government accounts. Now, this, it was learned, has irked officials and members of the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria and also the National Union of Local Government Employees. And that is where this particular, conversation is coming from. Nearly 6 months after the federal government is yet to effect direct payments of allocations to the local government as directed by the Apex Court. That is what, this is saying. And when asked, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, said the federal government was yet, I said this last week, that the federal government said they're yet to commence direct payment due to practical impediments. And that's what we're still holding on to now.
I'm not holding on to anything, but it doesn't even make any sense to me unless it's explained.
Practical impediments.
What does it mean? You explain it.
Impediments that are practical.
And so? And is that the explanation to practical impediment, that it's impediment that are practical? And does it sound like an explanation to you? You that you're even trying to explain it.
Impediments that are very practical. So
what are those impediments?
Okay, so exactly. So I think that's the question now, not what it means. So it's just what are those impediments. So why don't you let's have?
That's what I'm trying to say now. Okay, what do you think I was trying to say?
said that
I don't understand what practical impediment is. In this context, what does it mean? What is it saying?
well, they say they are facing
Is
challenges. They are facing basically
what
that.
challenges? What are the challenges? These are the local governments don't have accounts, or the banks are refusing to open accounts for them, or the monies are too big to enter the accounts of local government. You don't understand?
I'm with you. Oh, I'm totally with you.
That's what I'm saying. So the minister should explain what it means, or the meaning of practical impediment that has, a whole Supreme Court, Sandra, gave a judgment. Don't pay these monies into the joint accounts again, even though the constitution says that's what you should do. And then the minister is telling us that he has not been able to implement the Supreme Court judgment because of practical impediment. It's a very simple instruction now, Sandra. It was still the same executive, Sandra, that took the matter to the Supreme Court, praying that this should happen. So are you saying that at the point when the executive, the Attorney General of the Federation, was taking this matter to court, there was no deeper discussion with the Minister of Finance on the practicability of the judgment should he favor them, Sandra, before they even went to court in the first place?
Before the AGF went to court.
You don't understand. The AGF took this matter to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
It was not as if it was an injunction from somewhere. So at the point the AGF was putting this matter together to approach the Supreme Court for a ruling on it, was there no sit down, no consultation with the Ministry of Finance on the implementation, how to implement it should the case eventually turns out the way they want it? So the case has now happened, the Supreme Court has ruled in their favor. They are now practical impediment. Those things that should have been sorted out before they even approach the Supreme Court in the first place.
I think this is rather embarrassing for because a Supreme Court judgment, being left unattended 6 months after, it's really embarrassing if you look at it. But then, as it is now, the Secretary General of the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, Mohammed Abubakar, said, and I quote, "Sincerely, we are all in the dark as we stand now." Nobody knows what exactly, they are to expect.
It's practical impediment now.
Let it go. The Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees and ALGON had made their submissions that the local government accounts should be opened across board and submitted to the Office of the Accountant General for allocation to be disbursed directly. And Fuad, I'm a little bit concerned, and that's why I'm asking this question now from the angle of the fact that some time ago, some very lovely time ago, in Ogun State, when a certain local government chairman spoke out as regards disbursement of funds, until today that person is no longer a local government chairman. And you saw some local government chairmen going to prostrate and kneel, he's not speaking for us and all of that. And if you have situations like that, it's interesting because you see that there's local government chairmen are not even saying anything. They're not saying, the money is not being paid to us. What's going on? Should we expect it? Should we not expect it? Do you think, with that kind of situation that happened in Ogun State, and then also with Anambra State Assembly, with that the Local Government Administration Act 2024, that they also, that has been signed anyways by the governor. Do you think we're going to see anything from this, or have we just moved on, or should we just move on?
No, we can't move on, really. There's still a lot that we still have to do on this particular matter.
Can we expect any sort of respite
from the federal government finding a way to solve that practical impediment? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I don't know, because it's not defined yet. We're not sure what the practical impediment is. Is it that the federal government suddenly understands that the Supreme Court judgment does not necessarily solve the problem? They say when you get to a point, you see something like, it's just a complete waste of time. It's not going to solve any problem. So you are not even motivated to want to implement the judgment. You understand what I'm saying? If that's the case, then it's unfortunate, because those are the things we were saying again. Before you take an action, you dot all I's, cross all T's, do all checkables, and ensure that, look, it makes a lot of sense at the end of the day that, look, the result is worth the effort, if you understand what I'm saying. Because you just said something else, Sandra, that even the local government chairmen are not saying anything. It is the union, the workers that are complaining, right? The NOGAs and the chairmen that are supposed to be the major beneficiaries of this Supreme Court ruling in terms of them having direct access to their money. are not even complaining. And do you know why they are not complaining? Who are these local government chairmen we're talking about? These are the guys that have been big and picked by the governors and who have become chairmen by fraudulent elections that have been conducted by these governors. So they are not going to talk. They are basically their stooges. You understand what I'm saying? You know, we said it. That look, if we don't first resolve the process by which these chairmen are elected, the Supreme Court judgment is just a nullity, it's just a complete waste of time. And that's what we're saying. And that's probably the reason why it's now being said that, look, there are practical impediments to implementing the Supreme Court judgment. And even the National Assembly is not even saying that, oh, they might also have to now look at how to properly amend the Constitution to free the local government from the apron strings of the governors. So look at where we are. We've moved from ground zero to ground zero. We are not moving. It's all motion without movement on this particular matter.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Well, further details on page 2 are what all the NULGE chairman of each state chapter has to say, or what they have to say as regards, the non-implementation of the Supreme Court judgment of July.
Did you read that of Ogun State, Sandra?
I read it.
What did he say?
Well, he just said that, they blame the federal government for the non-implementation. That's what I took away from. But is there something?
And up till now, it is so sad that local government chairmen in Ogun State are still made to report the commissioner of local government and chieftaincy matters, who is just an appointee of the governor. That local government chairmen are made to, they still have to go and report to the commissioner.
That was Osun State. That was Osun State.
Is it Osun?
That was Osun. That was Osun State.
The turn to G. But it's what was obtaining in most of the states.
Just as I said, let me take a quote here now from the ex-chairman of Atukomusa West local government in Atakumosa. Yes, Atakumosa West local government in Osun State. Francis Famuriwa said that he said nobody will be satisfied with the current situation where local governments are appendages of the state. Most of the time, they are not just appendages, they are under the control of the Ministry of Local Government. When I was in office as chairman, we were under the Commissioner for Local Government, which was a terrible scenario, which, defeats the whole, we have three tiers of government.
Levels of government,
exactly. But then it's okay. Well, further details on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Moving on from that story, we also have here ECOWAS to approve Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso's withdrawal on January 29. Further discuss, join us on Global View by 10 a.m. We also have here Abuja land only valid after payment, and C of O, says minister's spokesperson. And that's what we are getting now. That story is on page 7. The senior special assistant to the FCT minister on public communications, Lire Olayinka, tells Abiodun Ejo about land matters in the FCT and problems with the PDP in Ekiti State and Nigeria. It's an interview, so you may want to dig deep into that story.
Really.
Yeah,
he's not saying anything that caustic for me. Really. I don't know.
It's okay.
So is he saying that people that own those properties don't know that, look, they need to get titles? We are talking about the opportunity to allow them regularize those titles if there are titles they've not gotten. And where is the human face to all of this matter? And then how do you take over people's property and reallocate it to other people just like that? Is that fair?
It's okay. Thank you very much. Well, the further details on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Moving on now, we also have here on the front page of the Punch, just above the masthead, Tinubu not threatened by Obasanjo, Kwankwaso, and Obi's 2027 talk, says APC. Well, the story is on page 9 of the Punch newspaper. What we have is that the ruling APC has said it's not threatened by the weekend visit of Rabi Kwankwaso, Donald Duke, to ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo to discuss the political.
So if they are not threatened, what are they talking about?
I was going to get I was going to get there. Because it's interesting. If it doesn't concern you, you won't have anything to say.
The fact that you are talking about it means you are paying attention to it.
Exactly. Anyways, in the past few weeks, there have been increasing debates about the 2027, general elections after SGF Senator George Akume canvassed for the re-election of President Bola Tinubu for second term last week we had this conversation forward when SGF George Akume said there's no vacancy. that Tinubu would complete a second time. We're asking, is it supposed to be automatic? Is it not supposed to be a referendum of performance and all of that? But anyways, with all the conversations going back and forth, I even read recently for good luck Jonathan, whether there was going to be a comeback. Maybe we're going to have a Ghana, a repeat of what happened.
Ghana scenario.
A Ghana scenario.
A Mahama return in Nigeria.
A Mahama return in Nigeria. A Trump return in Nigeria, because that's what's happening around the world now. Former presidents are coming back, to take the seats again. Anyways, opposition having none of it, insisting that APC, would, but then over the weekend, Senator Jᴏɪᴜ Aᴊɪൡ, who was the presidential candidate for the NNPP last year, 2023 general elections, and Donald Duke, former governor and also a 2007 presidential aspirant, visited ex-president Obasanjo in Abeokuta, and they held a closed-door meeting. So details of the discussion is undisclosed, but sources close to them have suggested that the meeting was part of a larger effort to strategize for Nigeria's 2027 general elections. Well, this is, just reaction of APC basically to that. Whatever you are planning, we know what we're doing.
Again, the APC as it stands, Sandra, because of the kind of electoral process we have, it has a very big advantage over the entire opposition put together, Sandra.
Hey.
Mark my words. Not because of their performance in government, but because of the kind of electoral process we have. And when I say electoral process, now I'm talking about the entire value chain of how we choose and vote for people to get into different elective positions. So the wobbled electoral process that we have and that we have refused to address and adjust for it to run properly, I can tell you that as it stands today, with a very diminished opposition, the APC has a lot of edge over them put together, even before 2027, or by the time we get to it, if it stands the way it is. Yesterday we still talked about it, Sandra. The Labour Party, for example, started the 10th Assembly with 38 House of Reps members. Sandra, today, they are left with only 17. The PDP today, I can tell you that it's a party completely divided, diminished, confused. They don't even know where to go to. The direction is unclear, really. It's a party of Nyesom and Atiku and other interests, as we speak. So the only way, again, I repeat myself, because of the kind of electoral process we have, that we have refused to commit to addressing and changing and making it work, the only way the opposition can stand a chance, again, just my own honest opinion, against this government in 2027 will be for all of them to work together. Drop their individual ambitions, drop all their selfishness, from Atiku to Peter Obi, from Peter Obi to Goodluck Jonathan, if he's going to come on board, Jᴏɪᴜ Donald, all of them have to lock themselves up in a room and form a formidable force to stand a chance against the APC. If they go into that 2027 election divided the way they did in the last election, Sandra, my mind tells me that, look, it's going to be a walkover for the APC. I'm not saying because of their performance, but because of the kind of electoral process we have, whether through vote buying, voter intimidation, manipulation of results, and all of that, they do stand a chance if they do work together.
All right. Well, also the report is, telling us that Obasanjo, who is a prominent figure, of course, in Nigerian politics, former president, former head of state, has been actively engaged as regards engaging various stakeholders to explore alternatives to the ruling APC and even PDP. All right. And Jᴏɪᴜ Aᴊɪൡ, who is a pivotal figure in Kano state politics, although he has his own, brouhaha that he also needs to sort out. But then he also brings some substantial influence as well and followership, okay? And then you also have, Donald Duke, who's also a former governor from the southern region. And also, I think this particular meeting it actually speaks a lot.
Okay,
but then,
let's do this, Sandra. Let's look at this, Sandra.
Okay.
Jᴏɪᴜ Aᴊɪൡ, with his Kwankwansia movement in the last election, was only able to get one state, which is the state of Kano. Well, the biggest political state in terms of numbers. In the whole of the north. But at least That was the only state he was able to get. The number of House of Reps members, senators, and what have you. Donald Duke has been out of power for how many years now? He looks like a man who is a spent force when it comes to the politics of Nigeria. It's not that a person of serious reckoning again. Let us even say that, look, the pair were going to come together to appear on the ballot in 2027. Would Fᴏᴏᴜ be the deputy, the vice president running mate to Donald Duke, or Donald Duke could be the running mate to Fᴏᴏᴜ? And the two of them, do you think that they will stand a chance against the APC?
Please let people.
I'm just saying.
Let people have ambition. Let people have ambition. Please, because where that is going is actually very interesting. If you look at it. But Kwakwaso seems excited to have the company of Donald Duke because he posted on his Facebook page. He said he was pleased to be in the company of his friend, His Excellency Donald Duke, and other associates, paying a courtesy call to former President Obasanjo. He added that deliberations on significant national issues, including the future of politics and governance, was what defined their conversation. And
let me ask you a question again, Sandra. What political value really does Obasanjo also bring to the table?
For
this visit. It's a question. It's a question, Sandra. Not a question.
Don't say that. Well, it's a question. Yes, I understand you.
Maybe for the optics.
Former president, former head of state. Aside from that, the strides that he was able to achieve. Yes, he has.
I just told you political value. I'm not saying the value of him being a former president. I'm saying politics, the practicality of politics at this time.
Yeah,
what value do you think Obasanjo can bring to the table for them?
When during the campaigns for the 2023 general elections, there was no major a flag bearer.
Did not visit Obasanjo.
They did not visit Obasanjo.
But the people of Obasanjo eventually endorsed. What happened?
Well, it's okay. Moving on. Anyways, as regards this particular conversation, Fuad, have you? No. I think I'll just ask you off camera because this is getting really interesting. But reacting to this development, National Publicity Director of the APC, Bala Ibrahim, dismissed the meeting as a potential, threat to APC's continuity. Whether or not, that is or will be something I will see.
I would have really loved to ask the APC guys who keep dismissing everybody, talking down on any move, to want to take over power from them in 2027. I like this confidence that you people keep putting out as to why you're going to win again in 2027. Is it based on performance or what?
Well, I think it's just back to what you
said.
Back to what you have said as regards, electoral reforms and all, because he said quite a lot. Let me just read what he said. He said a lot. That's Bala Ibrahim. He said, and I'm quoting now, "With due respect, I hold Obasanjo in high esteem. As a former president, ex-head of state, and elder statesman, I don't want to take issues with him. But when it comes to politics of Nigeria, particularly contemporary politics, Tinubu is not their mate. Tinubu is head and shoulders above them in modern politics in Nigeria. So the combination of Obasanjo, Kwakwaso, Peter Obi, and Donald Duke, who was my schoolmate, does not present a threat to Tinubu. These are people who were trashed in the last election. This is not the first time Obasanjo is going to rally around someone, and that person is defeated. He supported ex-president Goodluck Jonathan, who later lost to Buhari. Obasanjo supported another candidate, Peter Obi, in the last election, and Tinubu trounced them. So they can have marathon meetings and meet till the end of time. They will not present any threat to the government of APC. Who among Kwakwaso, Obasanjo, Obi, Duke was not beaten? If they are bringing angels, it's a different story. But if it's these same spent forces that will combine and meet, their meeting cannot bring any good outcome. Such very confident statements there.
In all of the things he said, did he talk about the performance of this government?
No. He just said that they don't have what it takes.
But you see that I didn't mention anything about performance or winning the hearts of the people with what they are doing in government.
Well, honestly, if it's about performance, I don't think, they would be talking about 2027 with a government that is less than 2 years, in administration. If it's about performance,
it doesn't matter to the political class what the people feel.
It's all right. Well, that's further.
I just wanted to establish that, and you helped me to do that with reading out the statement from that APC man. Yeah.
Thank you, Saivot. It's okay. All right, this is still Milan 98.3 FM. It's 17 minutes past 8, and you're listening to Trends in the Papers. Still on the front page of the Punch newspaper, organized private sector fears SMEs collapse as cash scarcity lingers. And that's as regards business and economy conversation. And what we have is that the organized private sector has called on the CBN to address the cash scarcity nationwide, stressing that the country is not developed enough for cashless transactions. So, members of the OPS have pointed out that the scarcity of cash has adversely affected businesses, especially those in the MSMEs, that's the micro, small, and medium enterprise category. So, while the intent may have been to modernize the financial system and promote cashless transactions, the reality is that these policies have inadvertently stiffened business operations across the country. So, is the cash scarcity intentional? What is it? Was it supposed to, enforce the cashless, policy of Emefiele? Because that's what this is alluding to.
But the rules are clear, Sandra. How much cash you can get over the counter, right? So even the cash that you can get over the counter, people are not getting. That's the problem. You understand? If the rule says this is the amount you can get over the counter, this is what the ATP you can get in cash on daily transactions. The problem now is that there's even no cash anywhere. The only place you can get cash now is from the POS operators who are also rationing the money. And so it's just the job of the CBN to explain to us what is really going on. Like one of our callers explained to us last week that, look, basically people are now holding on to cash. They are even now trading the cash. They are not returning it to the bank. So it's a lot of question, really, because whether we like it or not, Sandra, we have not gotten to the point. The infrastructure is not available, really, to run a completely cashless economy. A lot of our small-scale businesses, especially in the rural areas,
they still sell things 100 naira, 200 naira, and that's.
In fact, there are still, even in this Lagos, Sandra, there are still people who sell things to you. You tell them I want to do transfer, they tell you, no, I want cash. Even in this Lagos.
I think it just makes sense. You want to buy watermelon from the Aboki in front of your shop.
You say I want to transfer. Look at
transfer to you. It's okay. Anyways, so anyways, the point is that many of these businesses now who are largely cash dependent, especially the macro, the micro and small businesses, Adamo that's just 2 buildings away. I want to buy something from him. I'm going to transfer to him. So that's what.
I want to buy like 500 naira pure water.
You're going to try exactly. So that's what the national president of the Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria is saying, and that's what also the organized private sector, that's national president of Nigeria Association of Small Scale Industrialists, Segun Kuti George, is also saying. Anyways, the story is on page 21 of the.
And Sandra, the unfortunate thing at this time is that while people are talking about scarcity of cash, the banks are now misbehaving. The e-platforms have gone bonkers. They've gone crazy completely. Except for maybe these other small ones without, these small ones now that people are now using.
The fintechs, the virtual banks.
The fintech, these other ones. With it, it's still a lot of problem really using the e-platform of the major banks. So it makes it even more difficult for people to do daily transactions and business.
It's okay. Well, stories on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. And finally, off the front page of the Punch, Dangote refinery extends export to 3 African countries. And that's the Cameroon, Angola, Ghana, and South Africa. That's Dangote has been able to export petrol to these countries in the past few weeks. And diesel has gone all over the world. Jet fuel is being heavily exported to European markets. Their products are really making their mark internationally, and that is coming from Devakumar Edwin, the Vice President, Oil and Gas, Dangote Industries.
Sandra, anytime because if you notice consistently, Dangote refinery makes the news. If you've noticed,
yes.
And in recent time, the only thing we've been getting from that refinery basically is been about their exploit, their achievement in being able to move their products out of Nigeria. So it would have been nice to get from the information managers, officers of this refinery. Is that deliberate? Are they telling us something? Because this news, for example, as a Nigerian, what does it tell you? What are we supposed to make out of it?
What about us?
That's what I'm saying. That look,
Yeah.
because
I understand you.
for them to put out this information, what are they trying to achieve? What are they trying to tell us?
I mean,
Is there something that we should pay attention to as Nigerians? Or they just want to tell us that they are happy, we are now moving our product out of the country? You don't understand what I'm saying?
But, you celebrate your little wins. Congratulations to them.
As they are celebrating their wins, what are they trying to tell us? Or for us to just know that they are winning,
But you are overthinking it. Maybe
it's not overthinking.
Maybe you're
I'm in Nigerian now. Look, I'm looking at it from the point
are you
of
trying to say
information management.
Are you trying to say that they are trying to tell us, still, it's not as if we have, and we are even giving outside that zoo?
I don't know. I'm just asking. You are now answering my question.
No, I'm not. No. I'm not answering your question.
So is it that they are saying all BO towards Nigeria? So if you say you will not buy you, I have other people.
Is that what they are saying? Are they saying all BO?
Or they are just trying to tell us that we are winning, with or without you, we are winning.
Well, that's a very big one for Dangote to now respond. Maybe they're just
we've not even been hearing from them. How they are dealing with the Nigerian market. Are they still selling to us? What's the volume they are selling to Nigeria? They're always they've been a bit silent about the Nigerian market. For like a week or two now, consistently they've been talking about what they've been doing, pushing out the products to other parts of Africa and the rest of the world. So,
Fuad, I think it's also important that whether or not, they are raining us in the eye, or not, or, they do not be, whether or not, the point is that Nigeria, it is now making the name Nigeria would not pop up as regards, in the global community for exploitation of, in oil and gas. I think that's just
that a refinery from Nigeria, whether private or not.
Whether private or not. So
can now push up.
whether or not, they are doing all.
Maybe that's the purpose of the information, so that we know.
So, but as regards local distribution, though, I think we still need further, conversation,
information from them.
From them.
What they are doing at the local market, it's important that we know.
Or maybe now that, Port Harcourt refinery is now blending, so they don't have to cater to us anymore. These are the huge questions.
I asked the question, Sandra. I was going to ask Adiola Yusuf yesterday, but I forgot to ask him. What's the update from Port Harcourt refinery now? Are trucks loading now? At what price? We've agreed that the place is now a blending plant and it's part of refining. No problem. Okay. But what is the update now? Yeah.
They'll let us know. You remember, when they made that announcement, it was like a thief in the night. We never can tell. Any update?
No. Are trucks now loading? Are the trucks loading now?
When they told us that Port Harcourt refinery is now, fully operational, it was a shocker. So maybe they just want to, continue to shock us. So just
after almost 3 weeks, they want to shock us again about people loading products on the place.
Have patience. It's a virtue, Fuad. Have patience.
And at what price? Have they sorted the pricing issue?
Let's move on now to the Guardian newspaper. This is Mainland 98.3 FM, and we are on Trends in the Papers, looking through the major trending stories on the front pages of our papers. And now we are going to move on to our financial deficiency. Okay, no. They say we should not demarket the country. Okay. Economic crisis. I think that's a better way to put it. Okay. So the major headline on the front page of the Guardian newspaper: Nigerian fiscal edge piles up 4 trillion naira unfunded deficit in 12 months. That's scary, but it's fine. And that's on page 6, so you can have a better understanding of the implication of this. So an overview of 2023 budget performance. Do we do that? Do we analyze budget performance?
The papers are doing it for us. We don't do it, but they are helping us to do it, which is brilliant.
But shouldn't it be something that, maybe the finance ministry or the coordinating Ministry of the Economy should also look into before, looking at the fiscal year for the, next year?
Oh, if we do it, and how come we were running for 3 budgets at the same time?
It's okay. I'm sorry I asked you. Let's move on.
Okay.
That's all right. Thank you. All right. So let's see what we have here on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. What we have here. Earned revenue 12.5 trillion naira. That's what we've earned. Debt service is 10.5 trillion naira. Unfunded deficits is 3.95 trillion naira. Fiscal deficit
4 trillion.
Yes. Fiscal deficit 10.55 trillion. Ways and means 1.9. Total capital expenditure 6.4. MDA utilized funds 1.9. Debt service revenue ratio 68%. It's okay. Debt service to total recurrent expenditure ratio 54%. Releases to MDA is 3.65%. So trying to gain access, I don't know, please hold. Thank you very much. Okay, so what we have in the report for this particular story is, we have riders, yes, capital funding suffers neglect, underperforms by 55% despite multiple extensions.
Imagine, they say, pay attention to that one. Capital expenditure suffers what?
Neglect.
Suffers 55%.
55%. Despite multiple
and
extensions.
those are the capital components of the budget they will throw at you to say, it's a budget of hope, a budget of kinikon.
Debt service.
They will not even use the current expenditure part of it. So it is those things that are capital in the capital expenditure they will show you to think that they are even serious about the budget in the first place.
Oh, what is it? Where is it? It's okay. Debt service to total recurrent expenditure exceeds 50% for the first time. CBN overdraft takes, that's ways and means, 1.9 trillion in 6 months. Servicing suspended despite reports of more borrowings. It's all right. Anyways, Nigeria's over-reliance on debt funding may have hit the brink, requiring a more creative financing model, with the federal government's unfunded deficit rising to as much as 3.95 trillion last year. The amount, which is 16% of the entire 2023 budget, may be much higher than when the report is updated, considering the capital expenditure's full implementation, which was extended to December 31. Anyways, there's a lot of figures, but the real value of all of this could be much smaller, as the analysis does not account for budget padding, inflated value, and other corrupt practices the country's public finance is known for. All right, because there are figures here that will make it look all beautiful and amazing, but at the end of the day, the real value that we're going to get from it, if you put all of these factors into place, we may not actually get. Anyways, the unrealized capital votes account for 74% of unfunded deficit, coming from government's inability to leverage the international debt markets throughout the budget cycle. Plus the fact that those executed by government-owned enterprises under bilateral or multilateral project-tied loans and donor funds, the government spent a total of 6.37 trillion naira as capital expenditure. So it's actually a lot of figures, but, trying to break things down and all, I think that's what was most important. But the truth is, the cost of debt service to revenue ratio is actually really, really high. From 73% recorded in 2022, but still miles above what is considered a sustainable level. Some people think, we can still borrow because debt to revenue is still, but it's, as it is now, it is above what is considered a sustainable level and even the government target. Overall, debt service to recurrent expenditure for the first time has exceeded 50%. We're talking 55, all right? And the total recurrent expenditure is 15.64 trillion as against a budgeted 16.88. So it just keeps going up and up and up. Whereas the government succeeded in cutting the projected non-debit recurrent expenditure, lost control of debt spending, which went up by 30%. There's also the ways and means conversation as well. And the rising tension about debt sustainability may have been worsened by zero provision for sinking fund set up for maturing debts. That's a scary one as well. And the non-funding of the sinking fund means the government will continue to put pressure on retiring mature facilities in critical situations, as in recent history. Such debt instruments will be refinanced, which implies postponing evil days. So why not just deal with it now? But people have been, talking about, excessive borrowing and, what exactly these funds are being used for, and also the fact that the value of the naira is also not helping situation, because most of these funds are borrowed in dollars. So the more the if naira depreciates, the more this deficit grows. And just as I said, postponing evil days.
Well, postponing evil days, Sandra. The news is that the president will be presenting
The 2025,
the 2025
tomorrow.
appropriation bill tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think this will help us to have a more robust conversation. Although it will be presented tomorrow, but I'm sure before the week runs out, we'll have a better breakdown of the components and composition of that budget. So what we're going to try to do is now tie it to what we have now. Look at what we had in 2023, 2024, and then 2025. But the fact is that, look, we are making up these figures. The outlook is bad. In dollar terms, our debt has dropped by just about 1%. But if you now put it in naira terms, it's gone over 100%.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you very much, said Fuad. We have overshot our time, but it's also important for us to, take the major headline on the front page of Vanguard. Federal government overshoots 2024 borrowing target by 4 trillion naira, which is borrowing 49% above the target in November and may hit 67% at the end of the year. Domestic borrowing is about 8.9 trillion. Analysts list X impact on inflation and others. More borrowing crowds out the private sector. That's what the experts are saying. Well, that's the major headline on the front page of Vanguard. Get further details on page 21. And that's all we can take for this morning on Trends in the Papers. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. This is Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.